Hello, hi everyone. This is XuCHEN. You can call me Jasmine. I am located in Singapore, study engineering for my bachelor and master degree, and now I'm working in a bank as a solution architect. So I'm very glad today to talk about my reports together with my teammates Raji and Kuta on this topic about swing trading with deep trip, coil spring, and regime shift scenarios. So here we go. This is me with my ID. And in terms of the project's motivation, why we need to do it, is because when we do the background review, we realize there's not so many research papers on the mid or long-term trading systems. So in order to confirm what is the best trading strategy in terms of risk and return, we would like to leverage on the research paper based on Shrivan, who bring us idea of using regime detection concept with the key means clustering algorithm. And we would like to see if this will potentially help us to improve our return and reduce the risk. So how do we gonna do it? The goal which we have is to use Indian Nifty 50 index data, which is fundamentally sound. And also with the past 15 years of data, we would like to focus on these three scenarios based on deep trip, coil spring, and machine learning techniques, which is key means clustering. We would also like to propose a different way of methodology, that is to combine these different scenarios, which varies from a relatively long, which is deep trip, to a relatively short-term strategy, which is coil spring, as well as adding on top of the regime detection. We want to see whether this will be making any difference in terms of the results. In terms of literature review, of course, we are based on the swing trading mechanisms with various of the different features, as well as the regime detection concept, which we learn from the various researchers. Assumptions that for these reports, we assume there is no transaction cost, no borrowing cost. The buying cost is the pricing, the closing price. The risk rate of return is zero. And of course, the fundamental counter will remain fundamentally sound. And by using the Python, the main programming languages, we are able to retrieve the data and use it for data visualization purpose. Here is a detailed explanation of the strengths, weakness, and assumption for these three methods that is used in this research. The first one is deep trip method, which is the simplest, understandable as buy and hold. So the assumption we have is we classify the data as 4 different categories: larger than 10%, 20%, and 40% of the drawback from the all-time high value. So if there is already an order open with the same amount of pullback, we will not open a new order until the pullback value drop even further to another category. And we will only close the order when the price reached a whole time high value. So here is the classification. As you can see, the majority of them fall into the less than 10% of the drop. The second method is coiled spring. Coiled spring method will assume the market is actually rational, so undervalued market stocks will eventually make a strong correction move to its own intrinsic value. So that's why it relies on the traders to also do some fundamental research to choose some safe and fundamentally sound companies. And the key for choosing this method is to detect suitable pivot points based on the period of the preference, and then to select when is the breakout points. So for our scenarios, we choose the past 20 points to choose out which is the breakout points. So as you can see on the top of the result, we can see these points is detected as a strong breakdown points. So ideally, at this point, it's supposed to be we will see a reverse of the direction of the price trend. The third scenario is regime shift detection model. It is the most complex model among the three because it's used machine learning techniques. It's used also the unsupervised clustering method, which we use key means algorithm. By using so, we are able to detect the relatively stable increasing trend versus relatively stable decreasing trend. So in order to reduce the risk, we would only focusing on the cluster 1 and cluster 3, which is in the middle of the return and risk. We also select 4 clusters just for simplicity. Okay, so the summary of what we receive from our peers, there are some very valuable feedback, such as we should not only look at the return, but also to include the risk. That's why we consider the Sharpe ratio in our analysis. And also we need to explain clearly what is the regime shift model by using what is the key means algorithm, which will enhance the section 2.2 to explain this. Last but not least, we will also include the breakout and breakdown and basically the bull and bear detection, as well as volatility for our technical analysis, as well as the more synthetic data should be used in the future for back testing purpose. Then here is the most exciting part of our study is a summary of all the 7 scenarios. As you can see, the deep trip method actually outrun the best with 21% of the simple returns versus regime shift is only 5%. In terms of the risk, a deep trip and coil spring together is one of the top Sharpe ratio, which is the safest, 1.6, versus pure regime shift is only 0.5 in terms of the Sharpe ratio. And one interesting point to notice is that the last two, you can see they reach very high mean and standard deviation. We assume the reason is because of the, it's very hard to detect the signal for these 2 scenarios. We only able to capture 2 counts. That's why not enough of the sample data cause the very high mean and standard deviation. And here is the 7 scenarios which we draw using Python and show with the buy signal and the all-time high value. So in terms of me, I'm very glad to join a very helpful team. And for me, I help define the research theme and direction of my own background research. I also help outline the whole program, the project planning with my team and focusing on the deep trip methodology end to end. And also I help analyze my teammates' other methodology result, try to combine and implement the merging into a new solution and try to support them adding the assumption in the reports. And last but not least, I help overall review the whole reports to be aligned with our target. So conclusion, it was a very interesting analysis. So we realized that passive trading still exhibits a really remarkable performance due to a very stable return and relatively low risk. And adding more restriction may not really receive equivalent return. Due to time limitation, we couldn't finish adding more swing trading strategies and extend it to different indexes. And if there is time permit, we would like to do more back testing, even including the stress period of the financial crisis, and even drilling into more candles in the coil spring scenarios. So last but not least, I want to leverage on this chance to really appreciate World Quant University to give me this chance for this exciting learning journey for the past 3 years. I hope my journey with World Quant University will not end here. I hope to see you further with my future endeavor with you. Thank you so much.